Let's start here in chapter 1.1 with abiotic and biotic environments. Take a look at this picture right here. See the lynx chasing the rabbit or hare? This is in northern BC where there's a lot of snow. They both have thick coats that keep them warm, just like me, in the frigid weather. They have large feet, like my big boots right here, that help them run across the snow without falling in. How animals look and behave tell us a little bit about what type of environment or area they live in. Living things are affected by other living things and by the non-living things around them. Could you imagine a lynx with that heavy coat and big feet chasing after a snowshoe hare in a hot, dry desert? Do you think this chase would even happen in the desert? Abiotic means non-living. You can think about it as normal versus abnormal. The A means not living, just like how biotic means living. So take a look at this diagram right here. This is a bunch of abiotic factors in an environment that you can find every day. Things like temperature, air, water, soil, or even climate. These are abiotic features of an environment or ecosystem. Abiotic parts often determine which types of organisms can live and survive in that environment. Let's look at climate a bit closer. Climate, different than weather, is the average weather of a region over a long period of time. So weather is kind of like day to day, hour by hour. It's going to rain for a bit, maybe it's going to be sunny for a bit, maybe it's a little bit foggy. Climate is more of the whole year. What would that region look like? So if you go northern Canada, like we've been talking about, you can say it's very cold with long, harsh winters and short, cool summers. Climate affects where and how plants and animals live. Biotic, on the other hand, just like I said before, is living. So in this forest, what do you think is living? Me? Maybe the trees? Is the soil living? How about the air I'm breathing? How about the sunlight coming through the leaves? Are those living or are those abiotic? Check out this picture right here. We have seaweed, crabs, octopi. These are all living things in the oceans of BC's west coast. All living things affect and interact with other living things. For example, the octopus. It depends on crab and other living things for food. Octopus also need to interact with members of its own species, other octopi, in order to reproduce. What's a species, you might ask? Let's find out. So species is a group of organisms that can successfully mate with each other and reproduce. Let's talk about needs of living things listed here. Think about the basic things that you need to stay alive. What would they be? Toothpaste, shower, a cup of coffee? No. I'm talking about basic living, like to survive in the woods. Your basic survival needs are very similar to basic survival needs of other animals. Here's a list of all the things that we might need. Number one, first, oxygen gas, or even, if you're like this guy right here, a plant, carbon dioxide gas from the air. It helps break down food or energy. Plants need CO2, just like my buddy here, because they use it along with energy from the sun to make their own food. Pretty cool, eh? Just like you need sunlight and carbon dioxide, we also need some water. Water dissolves their food and it is able to carry oxygen and food throughout their whole body. Water is very important to us and for plants. Food is for energy, and the food helps us grow and repair after we get injured. Just like how I jumped in here, I twisted my ankle, I need some food to repair that. Plants, like this guy right here, they make their own food with the sun, carbon dioxide, and water. Let's talk about the interactions between abiotic and biotic parts of the environment. Let's talk ecology. What is it? Ecology is the study of interactions among organisms as well as interactions between organisms and their environment, just like here. An ecologist would study these relationships. For example, an ecologist might be studying beavers and they might investigate how beavers eat, how they change in their climate, or where beavers build dams or have their young. Ecosystems are all the interacting organisms in the environment as well as the abiotic parts in the environment that affect those living organisms. For example, check out this pond ecosystem. It's filled with wildlife and different types of abiotic and biotic parts that all interact with each other. Some organisms eat each other, they defend each other, they raise their young, and they compete with each other for food and places to live. Let's talk about biomes. Many ecosystems share temperature and rain features. They have similar rain patterns and similar temperatures throughout the season. Therefore, plants and animals will have the same kind of adaptations and look kind of the same and maybe behave the same. Those ecosystems in those same biomes would have similar organisms. Biomes are like climate regions, so places or regions with the same type of climate. And remember, climate is the average weather pattern for a long period of time. So if we're looking at Canada in specifics, Canada has 4 major biomes. Take a look at the first one here, the tundra. Very cold, little snowfalls, little rain, no trees, just shrubs and a bit of grass. The boreal forest makes up most of BC. It's most common for boreal forests, makes sense, but more specifically, evergreen trees, like the ones I'm surrounded by today. Temperate forests are more rainy than boreal forests. They have deciduous trees. Grasslands have a large amount of rain with long periods of dry weather in between. You can think about the prairies. These types of conditions prevent trees from growing, but shrubs and grass grow there as well.